Legends, like the Loch, 500 million years in the making.
Let's move into the next room.
Legends, like the Loch, 500 million years in the making. That imagination for tales of wonder and mystery, like the one that made Loch Ness a legend in its own right, and a name known the world over. The world has monsters aplenty, of course. Every country has its strange stories, from Sasquatch to Yeti to Kraken. The Scottish Highlands are home to the most famous of them all, our very own Loch Ness monster, Nessie. Oh, there are those who'll tell you that Nessie is a Scandinavian, a memory of the prow of a Viking longship coming out the mists. And who's to say they're wrong? And again, who's to say they're right? Because if you listen to the old stories, Scotland is home to more creatures of wonder than one. Fairy tales? Maybe. Scottish fairies are wilder than most. We call them the Sheen, and there's one guarding every well, every waterfall, and every loch. There's the Gilly-Doo, the dark boy cloaked in moss and leaves coming out at night to hunt those who trespass in his woodland lair. And then there's the Kelpie, in Gaelic, the Cushkia, or water horse, an enduring legend this one, and found all over Scotland. A majestic horse with, strange thing, water weeds tangled in its mane, tame and friendly to passers-by, until they climb on its back and are dragged down into the depths as it dives back to its watery home. Could they be in Loch Ness? Is that where the legend of our own creature began? Or was it the Blueberry, a shape-shifting creature, sometimes a galloping water horse like the Kelpie, but more often a huge bird, bigger than 17 eagles with a terrifying spike of a beak, like a fish-eating diving bird. And if you look at those long curved necks and hunched backs, well, familiar, aren't they? Then again, what about the Selkie, the Seg, the Maid of the Waves, Scotland's very own mermaid? Under that seal disguise, there's a beautiful woman, ready to lure men to their death in the sea. Well, seals are certainly one explanation for the legend of Nessie. Those smooth backs arching out of the water do look like the humps of a sea serpent. Nothing smooth about the sherrycoat, mind you. A prankster in a coat of seashells, clattering and jangling and screeching along the shore, pretending to drown, then vanishing with a laugh when people get close enough to rescue him. But our fairy tale starts to crystallise when a real live saint arrives at the Loch. Saint Columba in the 6th century. He came from Ireland to convert the northern Picts to Christianity. He had to cross the River Ness, where he found locals burying a man most savagely bitten by a water beast. One of his followers swam across for a boat. Up rose a beast, roaring, ready to devour the poor monk. Until Columba, with staff in hand and the power of God, cried out in a voice louder than the beast's, "Go no further, nor touch the man. Go back," and sent it back to the depths whence it came. Or so the legend says. The first documented sighting of Nessie, and the last one to be documented for quite a while. About 1,500 years, in fact. And then, in 1933, in this very hotel, the legend got a new lease of life.
Let's move into the next room.
There's plenty of room for everyone. Don't be shy now. How are we all doing today? I'm Gordon, the barman here. And that's Alice Campbell over there, the water leader.
And now we find ourselves in a Drumnadrochit hotel bar, often called the Drum, on a quiet day in April 1933. Very quiet.
Did you hear something?
That was until the arrival home of the hotel manageress, Mrs. Alvy Mackay.
You all right, Mrs. Mackay? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Alex, I've seen it. Plain as day.
Mrs. Mackay, what exactly is it that you've seen?
John and I were driving back from Inverness, and I happened to be looking at the loch. And then the water started to bubble and boil, and I saw it.
What did you see?
I saw the beast, Gordon, and don't you mock me, I know what I saw.
What did it look like? How big was it?
Black and wet and huge, Alex, like a whale it was, with the water rolling off it. It swam in a great circle for a minute or so, stirring up waves big enough for a paddle steamer, and then down it went in a great mass of foam.
Oh, you certainly had a fright there, Mrs. Mackay. Yeah, you think about it. My granddad used to talk about James Cameron, the old gamekeeper. Well, he busted here. White as a sheet, just like you, Mr. Mackay. Come from the Loch Ness as well. Said he'd been fishing with huge animals.
Nice. And old Sandy McDonald rambling on about a huge salamander. I was fairly sure the salamander had crawled out of the bottle, but when did you hear?
By 1860, if you had asked anyone local, you'd have heard all about something in the loch. Plenty of tourists came up to the loch on steamers, but you never heard anything from them. It was a local mystery.
Well now, I think some sort of public warning would be in order.
Mind you keep my name out of it, Mr. Campbell, and my hotel.
Aye, good point. Reputations to consider in that. Still, you have a quiet word with the Inverness Queen about this monster.
And now it's a monster. Word was bound to spread.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you about that tale? He was up from London on holiday. George Spicer said something ran across the road like a dragon or some sort of prehistoric animal with a great long neck.
Man and his dogs get a story about a monster now, and no two alike. I even heard it on the radio.
The ladies from the loch. The monster reared its head again, reporting live from Loch Ness this afternoon.
I've seen it! Well, not me, but my own. She saw it!
We saw this great neck coming out of the water.
There's a £20,000 reward for anyone who can catch it. We saw it through a telescope for 10 minutes.
I saw 2 hands, I
I saw 4.
I almost ran over on my motorcycle. It was like a seal crossed with a plesiosaur.
Everybody's a cryptozoologist now.
I made this drawing of the monster I saw. A great sinuous humps. It was like an eel. Yeah, an eel. Like a huge
Come
eel.
on now, eels don't grow that big. No, I've seen it myself now. It has a definite neck. 6 feet of neck.
Welcome to the birth of a modern legend. A monster that looks like a plesiosaur.
Large whiskey and soda, please. Oh, Mr. Wetherill, is it? The big game hunter up from London. You found anything yet?
Found anything? Found it. Footprints. Footprints in the mud by the loch. And from the size of them, they can only belong to a monster.
Mercy! Oh, we eat in our beds!
Mrs. Mackay could sleep soundly though. the Natural History Museum took a look at Marmaduke Wetherell's footprints.
Oh, you left a couple of things in your room when you checked out, Mr. Wetherell, including your slightly muddy souvenir African biscuit. And where's that whiskey? Coming right up. Here you are. You've done one. What a character, eh? We've done all sorts up here with our cameras and contraptions. A lot of photos gotten up as well. You've got Hugh Gray's photo.
And then, of course, this iconic photo taken by the surgeon Robert Wilson, famously known as the surgeon's photo.
Oh, Latin Stewart up at the forest end. He says he saw those humps out on the loch too.
And don't forget Peter McNabb's picture.
Then there's Tim Dinsdale, very respectable aerial engineer. Came all the way up here after reading the revolution. Speak of the devil, evening, Tim.
Gordon, I managed to catch the first film of the monster.
Don't be famous. Maybe they'll make it on TV one day. Here, did you get anywhere with Sir Peter Scott?
Oh yes, he and David James MP are going to set up a Loch Ness Phenomena Investigation Bureau.
For Sir Peter.
Well, thank you. But if they ever find that creature, I want it properly protected. The first step is to give it a proper scientific name. Nessoteris rhomboteris, the diamond fin wonder of the Ness.
Very good for business, this Loch Ness Phenomena Investigation. Staring out of the loch all day, and you're not bad, all.
There was even a sighting by a retired policeman, Detective Sergeant Ian Cameron.
I definitely saw something break the surface out there. Big, black, like a whale. It dived, and then came up again. Maybe 250, 300 yards from us.
Everyone, don't twitch. You won't believe what I just saw. This way. Follow me.
James, what have I started? Fuck. I'm starting to think I should have just kept it to myself.
I think it's a teeny tiny wee bit too good for that, Mr. McKay. Cheer up. It's not every day you become a legend maker. You can just see it now. Drumnadrochit Hotel. Birthplace of the legend of the monster in the room. I'll turn this place into a museum one day. Can't you imagine?
I suppose it'll bring in some more customers. As long as the tourists don't cause any trouble or behave themselves.
And buy a drink or two. That Loch Ness monster.
And as you can see, things will never be the same again.
Time flies, eh?
This calls for some in-depth research, and I mean in-depth. We are going to take a dive into the loch to see what might really be going on out there.
That's your cue to skedaddle. Bar's closed. The lock-in's in here. On you go now.
And what's this? Also taken around the same time. Another log? We've tried other ways to find answers. Here's Adrian squeezing into the machine. The tiny one-man observation pod he tested in the clearer waters of Loch Ness, 2 cramped, freezing hours at a time. The Pequod up there investigated loch waters too. And the Viperfish, the one-man yellow submarine you saw outside, built by Dan Taylor, an American submarine enthusiast, took to the depths of Loch Ness. One account of his voyage gives us something to consider. On reaching the loch floor bed, Dan found himself within a silt storm that sent him in a 180-degree spin. Dan was unable to identify what caused this. He had indeed entered uncharted waters. A close call that he could never explain. best move on. Let's see what else we can learn from the real scientific research into Loch Ness, undertaken by Adrian and others. A shark these days, but he knows a thing or two. Adrian, come and introduce yourself to these lovely people.
Hello again. I'm here to tell you something about the method in our madness, from a naturalist's point of view. The fieldwork really began in the 60s, when Sir Peter Scott and David James set up the Loch Ness Phenomena Investigation Bureau. This is one of their big telephoto lenses on a 35mm movie camera. They could see a beach ball a mile away with one of these. For 10 summers, they spread their teams out in the calms they called Nessie Bay, ultimately achieving 90% coverage of the loch. This was their best film, but they collected over 300 sighting reports as well.
Well, those reported sightings seemed pretty impressive to me, but I'm guessing you wouldn't say they're definitive.
They certainly defined the popular Nessie. There was the classic multi-hump sea serpent and the long-necked Jurassic plesiosaur, medium monster.
Do you think we see what we want to see?
Perhaps more what we are supposed to see. That can change how we interpret the things we see. So the investigators found that the sea serpent reports were boat legs, and the long-necked ones were usually water birds, which can look much bigger on calm water when there's no pattern of waves to judge size. And then there are those branches you mentioned, apparently swimming upwind.
So what about plesiosaurs? I so wanted to be a plesiosaur. That would get my vote. And that's what so many people to this day believe in.
We haven't looked for one of those for a very long time, and the water's too cold for reptiles anyway. And that famous surgeon's plesiosaur photo, we found that was a model of a toy submarine. Marmaduke Weller again. Those photos have become a bit of sport.
Ah, but Adrian, there was no evidence of the giant squid or the coelacanth when they turned up, so we could still find Nessie.
Yes, but what sort? Mammals would cope better with the cold, but they eat a lot more than reptiles, and as you've said, the low productivity doesn't make much of a menu for a herd of monsters. The odd seal does get it, but not whales, it'd be obvious.
What about fish?
Ah, the modern fish theories. I call them the big three. None of them could be breeding, because nobody's caught any little ones. Migratory sturgeon blundering in from the sea wouldn't find a spawning partner, and the water's too cold for artificially introduced catfish to breed. And overgrown eels wouldn't leave as normal to breed at sea. Now fish wouldn't have to surface at all, and that's why the Loch Ness investigators tried to go underwater with submarines and cameras. But the brown water led to errors like that gargoyle tree stump, and proved too much of a temptation to draw fake outlines on silty pictures.
I've heard that's what Robert Rhines, an American researcher, did to this famous flipper picture, using a time-lapse camera that you can see on the smaller screen here. It does look like a Nessie flipper to me. Wait, let's see what the camera trap captures today. Aha! You're the catch of the day now. But let's not keep that one. So what's next?
In 1976, the Bureau Director switched the effort to Loch Ness with its identical monster tradition, but clear water. Some witnesses reported underwater shapes moving along the shore. We used image-intensifier video cameras pointing upwards. Even a large creature was showing complete silhouette against the surface brightness.
That's clever. So rather than looking down into the water, you looked up at the surface.
We did see 10 times more water, and we could capture movement, with no mistakes or fakes, but no monsters either.
What happened next?
We returned to Loch Ness, this time with sonar. This is the John Murray. We built it on a beach in 1981 to carry a fishing trawler scanning sonar. The forward superstructure pivoted the vessel steadily downwind for long silent patrols.
I see activity. Are they busy with a sonar scan now? Looks like a TARDIS to me.
We did make 40 strong contacts, but the thermoclines and lost speed sight made problems for the scanning sonar's horizontal beam. So for Operation Deep Scan in 1987, we had a whole fleet beaming a sonar curtain straight down. You know where you are with the beams then. It had just no precision about it. We did get 3 deep contacts and we're still not quite sure about them.
You said they were bigger than a shark, but smaller than a whale, but they remain to this day unexplained. I heard that you did find a monster 9 meters long.
Yes, quite impressive, and it had a long neck. We used Muni, this autonomous vehicle. The monster was a lost film prop from 1969. Our contacts still happen.
I saw something in the media about a more recent sonar contact reporting an object the size of a transit van. I've heard there's no explanation for that. Reporters of the Loch are really interesting too, because it tells us so much about our environment.
Yes, it does. But it's also basic for thinking about monsters, especially if there's so little food for a resident population. In the 1990s, on the Drumnadrochit, there were 6 meter long cords along 7. History like a river running every land and age. From the melting of the ice to radioactive isotopes and nuclear bombs, and sure, it's all there in the muddy time capsule.
Did you check for monster DNA?
Yes, we sampled with Professor Gemmell's team and found DNA from 3,000 species. No reptiles, obviously, and not enough DNA from otters and cormorants, which we know visit the loch. But we couldn't prove or disprove the modern fish theories either. Occasional sturgeon would be away at sea for virtually all of the time. Any surviving catfish introduced by the Victorians might not leave enough DNA. And as for common eels becoming huge, well, their DNA would be exactly the same as all the other eels. So the fun remains.
The search for the truth continues today. From Steve Feltham on Doors Beach, to Alan McKenna and Loch Ness exploration, to boat skippers travelling the Loch every day. Still unsure? Well, so long as there's no firm scientific evidence to disprove a monster, the possibility still remains open. And speaking of the search for truth, I think it's now time to gather in the hotel lounge to summarise the story. We can debate what we've heard so far and make up our own minds. Loch Ness famous all over the world, even though she didn't want the publicity. Convincing. Gave up everything in his search for the monster. He actually filmed something and genuinely believed it was an animal. Let's hear from self-proclaimed Nessie hunter Steve Feltham.
The one thing that I've seen that is completely unexplained here at Loch Ness for me happened in the first year of me being here full time. And I was at Fort Augustus at the other end of Loch Ness. And imagine the waves are about this high, coming from my right across to my left. And something shot through against those waves like a torpedo going through the water. All I could see was the white water spraying off of this object as it hit each oncoming wave. So it would just be a splash of water, pop, 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 against each oncoming wave. And I just froze and I just went, "Look!" And it was gone. Well, to this day, I'm still waiting for that second glimpse.
Well, how can we disbelieve such honest, credible folk?
From St. Columbus sighting in 565 AD to the present day, the reports still coming. Look at all these!
Well, let's keep reviewing the evidence.
Real, fake, just a mistake. Let's look back at some. Arctic Rebels monster footprints?
Come on, boy, no, that was fake. Then he and his son Ian photographed his stepson's model to make the surgeon's photo. Believed to be real until a deathbed confession.
What about that underwater flipper photo from Robert Wright?
Even the NASA guys were involved in that one.
Is it real, fake, or just a mistake? Even if the experts think it's fake, surely it's just a matter of opinion.
consider the idea that it's not a monster, but an animal unusual to Loch Ness, people are saying.
A big fish, maybe, like an overgrown eel?
Yes, that is very real. It could be migratory sturgeon, introduced catfish, or overgrown eels.
What about a large mammal?
Yes, that's real too. Loch Ness is open to the sea and seals could enter the loch.
Could nature be fooling us with those swimming books?
We know that Loch Ness has those funny surface currents carrying branches upwind. Is that what people are seeing and mistaking for Nessie?
Or is it simply boat weeks? Again, look at this evidence.
Paddle steamers in the past and modern boats leave wakes that could very easily account for many of the photos of a monster breaching the surface of the water.
A model of one of the culprits of this type of mistake is over there if you have a look at it. Could science provide the answer? Look at this solar compact.
We have marvelled at the ancient landscape of this majestic place and discovered some of the many myths and legends that are woven throughout the Scottish Highlands.
We met some of the witnesses who claimed to see the Loch Ness monster and found out how it came to be the most famous monster in the world.
We uncovered the secrets of the waters of the Loch and explored the search for truth as the hunt for the Loch Ness monster got serious.
It's now time for you to decide what you think. Let's put some suitable music on.
These are your voting options. Do you see Nessie?
Or do you see nonsense?
Or do you see possibility?
Take your places at the tables.
Vote by pressing a button for the explanation you support.
Ready? Okay, vote now.
Here we are. Step away from the buttons, please. The votes are in. And...
Well, it looks like we have a group of believers with us.
Some will take more convincing than others. But even they'll admit, even if there isn't anything out there, there ought to be. Regardless of the result, as you leave the Loch Ness Centre today, you are now part of the Loch Ness quest. So keep looking.
Thanks for stopping by. Safe travels home and hopefully see you soon. Tatty bye.